Let's listen to this second reel and let's see what Mr. Signorelli has to say here, and we'll provide some commentary.
Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present age. Look what it says. Against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, stand. Here's what Jesus understood. Even if I win everyone's approval in the first century, I do not win any victory for Christians in the 21st century. Even if everybody likes me in Jerusalem, that doesn't mean that there's victory for those globally. In order for Jesus to conquer the world, he had to first conquer his own need for affirmation from people.
I had to listen to this a couple of times because I thought, did he really just say that? And I was looking up stuff for the armor of God and came across this one, and I thought, okay, we gotta talk about this just for a few minutes. Annabelle, was there anything in there, just listening as a 10-year-old, is there anything in there that stood out to you?
Why would he have to get approval from his people?
Good question.
It should be the opposite way. It should be the people need approval from Jesus, not Jesus needing approval from the people.
Right. And we know that the Gospel of John, for one thing, I think it's in John chapter 3, where Jesus talks about that he did not need man to testify of him because he knew what was in man. He knows that our hearts apart from him are, nobody's seeking after God. Romans 3 says no one seeks after God. No one is good. No one seeks after God. And goes further into that of describing what man's hearts are like. We know that our hearts apart from Christ are wicked and deceitful. And we can't even know the depths of how wicked they are and how sinful we are. And that's why we need Christ. That's why we need salvation from our sin and rebellion against God. And sin has to be punished. And so you have Mike Signorelli that is bringing this message and saying he's reading Ephesians 6. So we would say, yay, let's read the Bible verse, right? Yeah. Read the Bible verse. Now, how does that apply? How do you exegete that? Well, he didn't. So then he starts saying these whole things about, well, Jesus knew that, he couldn't have the approval. If he got the approval of man in the first century, that he wouldn't have the victory. I can't remember what it was, but it made no sense. What does that have to do with Ephesians 6 about him not needing man's approval, or that he didn't, if he had everybody's approval in the first century, that he wouldn't have the victory for everybody in the 21st century? I don't know about you, but I was going, what does this have to do with Ephesians 6?
What does this have to do with that?
But the last thing too was that the last sentence that he said, I don't know if you caught it, but he said that, well, let me just play it one more time so you can hear it.
In order for Jesus to conquer the world, he had to first conquer his own need for affirmation from people.
Did you hear that? In order for Jesus to conquer, that he had to conquer his need for affirmation from people. That is ascribing sinful behavior, essentially, or this lacking behavior that we have, this inadequacy, and ascribing it to the Son of God, who is God, truly man, the incarnation of God in human flesh. He said that Jesus needed to conquer the need for affirmation from people. Does that sound right to you?
No. And this is what this guy is making me do.
That's the goat scream button. One of my friends gave me that. Yeah.
This is how... Why?
It's very hard. It's very frustrating listening to things like this, because you have him really diminishing the deity of Christ in this, whether that was his intention or not. Jesus didn't need to conquer his need for affirmation from people. He didn't care because God, and Jesus being God, is self-sufficient. He's all-sufficient. He's in need of nothing, which means he's also not in need of affirmation from people. And that goes back to your point, Annabelle, that you made earlier, is that God is not looking for our approval or our affirmation of things. We're in need of him. That is the exact opposite. And so I don't know what his whole point, again, don't have the original video, don't know his whole point in the messages, but whoever made those reels did not do him any favors. The teaching it sounds blasphemous, it's unbiblical, it's not exegeting the text properly, and it's not leading that person to understand the text any better and point them back to Christ. If anything, it's pointing them back to self.